Hello guys, welcome back to another late night with Late Night Owl McOwl me, Archer with a Sword. And this is actually the first time that I've done a video at night, so I don't have the lighting that I would prefer to have. So I'm in the place where the lighting is the best. So there is a lot of attention towards a movie that I'm sure some of you know of, The Labyrinth. Now, for some people, you are saying boo, and for some people, you are saying yes! And it's gotten a lot of attention, and that some of it is good attention, some of it's bad attention. For me, like, I started watching the movie when I was 10 years old. So it was a long time ago, and I loved it. But it's kind of like not well received among, I guess, the mainstream crowd, but it's very well received among like the nerdy crowd, and it's become like a cult classic, which kind of makes it mainstream now. It's really weird. But the question still remains, is it a good movie? And I know a lot of people have probably done reviews on The Labyrinth. I know the Nostalgia Critic has, I know the Nostalgia Chick has, and, you know, they've talked, like, very critically about it, and I'm gonna try to do the same, but I'm biased, very biased, because I love the movie. It's an 80s movie, please understand that. So, the movie was released in 1986, so it definitely has that 80s feel, with, you know, the effects that were made and done for the movie, for the music that was made, which I love the music. It's David Bowie. David Bowie just, like, has that flair. You know, the late David Bowie played Jareth the Goblin King, and, let's see, I showed two friends, two groups of friends, the movie, at a separate time. One friend said that she loved it, and she loved David Bowie's acting. Another group of friends, you know, they did not receive it very well. And one person said, David Bowie's acting was not very great. And that really depends, because for me, I always thought that he was a really great actor. Even if it was David Bowie playing David Bowie, the Goblin King. I don't know. I think he didn't, maybe for his role he didn't have to try that hard. Maybe the writing was just made specifically for him, and it worked out perfectly, like, to his advantage. But Jennifer Connelly, who was probably 16 years old at the age, who is a very great actress now. She's gorgeous. I love her. She did, I think, what she could with the role. And the thing is, a lot of people don't like her as the main character. See, with Jareth, you can say, yeah, but he didn't get a lot of screen time. You know, a lot of the shots were him just singing, you know, doing what he does best, being a performer, and staring wistfully out the window and being a Goblin King. So he didn't have the spotlight like Jennifer Connelly did. And for Jennifer Connelly, my gosh, I can't get that name to save my life. My tongue is just twisted. Jennifer Connelly playing Sarah. I have to agree, she's not the most likable character. Because, and she's meant to be, you know, not be the likable character at first. She's the whiny brat who is still very much a child, even though she's supposed to grow up. And the whole, you know, my friends who didn't like the movie that much, they were like, what's supposed to be her arc? And I started thinking about it. And really, because I had seen the movie and I had digested it enough, I knew and I felt that her arc was not just saving her brother, but it was growing up, but still remaining a child at heart. there's a very obscure manga that is the Labyrinth manga, where it picks up years later and Toby is a teenager. And I've only read the first volume, but I read the synopsis. And Sarah, who is not very present throughout the manga, it turns out, she wanted to be an actress. And for a lot of people, when you're an actor or an actress, you start out with such a vivid imagination and you're very creative. And, when you grow up, you keep that with you. You keep that, childhood wonder, and you keep that, essence of creativity. But you don't really know where your outlet is. And that's for any artist, not just an actor or an actress. But you don't know where your outlet is because you're like, well, I'm not a kid anymore. So what do I do? And they turn to art. And that's how Sarah was and how she became in the manga. But yeah, it's not very clear. I can understand that. It's not very clear what her arc is in the movie. And some people still don't like her. They don't feel like she had that transition from acting like a child to acting like an adult based on how maybe she was portrayed or based how the writing was, whatever it was. I have to say, I don't know, that's kind of a female lead problem. I have to say, female leads in the 80s, they were done well, but that was not always the case. In the 80s and on up, female leads have not been well received. And that's a video that I want to stress on more. And perhaps I'll record it all tonight, maybe? If you see me in another video wearing the same thing, it means that I'm recording it all in the same night, sorry. If I can. As far as music goes, it's brilliant. I love that music. It's so David Bowie. And it still works for today. As the World Falls Down, Underground, and of course, Magic Dance, it's so zany and it's so creative for the setting. It's quite... it always gets you in the right mood. I think it's a bit of a pick-me-up for me just listening to that music. It's so nostalgic. The visual effects. Here's the thing. If you don't like the movie, you can at least, I know, my friends, they didn't like the movie, but they at least said, oh my gosh, the budget for that must have been insane. They worked really hard. Even if you don't like the movie, you can still, at least admit that the effects and the setting and, everything, the puppetry is just nailed. It's absolutely nailed, to perfection. I remember, since I owned the DVD, watching the behind the scenes and just watching them sculpt the puppets, create the puppets, put people, with the puppets, watching them build, the little eyeball plants that are seen, grown on the wall, watching someone, slip their hand through a glove and turn their fingers ever so slowly, and the eyeballs would move in a very serpentine manner, and with a flick of their fingers they could make the eyeballs blink or go up and down, and that's, you just can't beat that kind of puppetry. And they tried very hard not to do any effects with a green screen, except for the one scene that was used with green screen, and that's the Fireys with the very pointless song and number. And that's it. That's the one thing that feels out of place and it doesn't work. And you say, I kind of wish they hadn't done that. It fits that story's, that feel, that very creative, out of this world feel. It fits to their advantage very, very well. You have to... You feel that this was Jim Henson's baby. You feel that this was something, just by watching it, you don't even have to watch the behind the scenes. You feel that tug at your heart that Jim Henson put his all in this movie. And he just was limitless with it. Like, that's him at his creative peak, wanting to make something that could shock you and scare you a little bit with the goblins. I know whenever I was a kid, the very beginning, with the goblins running around in Toby's room, it scared me, but I still loved it. Like, usually if something scares me, I don't want to watch it again, but I watched Labyrinth over and over and over again. And just so much time was put into this movie, whether it was good or not. I personally think that the writing was still very excellent. There are some little jokes and little bits of humor that still make me laugh. Let's see. My friends, I don't know if they were laughing because if they were just thinking of something else or if it was really the dialogue. But there were a couple times where they laughed. Or one guy, he saw a couple of the effects, like the wall, where the worm says, try walking through that wall. You'll see. And she does, and, it's like, that optical illusion. He goes, what the heck? like witchcraft. But personally, I think it's a good movie. There are flaws with it. There are flaws with every 80s movie. But it's that 80s feel of nostalgia that makes it great. I'm not saying, because it's a nostalgic movie, that's what makes it good. But there's so much to appreciate it in the acting, I think. The hokey acting, that's come on, that's to be expected in an 80s movie. But the effects, the music, the actors, Jim Henson himself put his heart into it. Yeah. I think it's a good movie. There are some things like Sarah. I didn't like her a whole lot, but I liked her journey. And I liked Jareth. I liked David Bowie's acting. I thought it was good. And it's definitely something that I'll be taking and showing my children in the future. And I hope you guys, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And I hope that you guys will pass it along to your friends and to your family as well. I think that about wraps it up. That's my little rant about Labyrinth. And I'll see you guys next time. This has been Archer with a Sword, signing off.